great tool to use for building agility is what you see here, which is called an agility ladder. Now, while this is a commercial one, my very first ladder, in fact, was just tape on the floor with strips across at predetermined distances to create distinct squares so that when I was teaching foot patterns, people had an awareness of exactly where I wanted the foot to go. Now, when you're teaching close skill drills, you're providing instructions in advance. And so something that has these kind of pre-measured locations allow the person to know exactly where the foot placements need to be. And so you can start with something as simple as moving through the ladder. Maybe it's 1 foot in every rung. It could be 2 feet in every rung. But then you can gradually introduce a variety of different directional patterns. But the idea is develop the motor skills first, right? And then you can start moving from what we call close skill into open skill, where the person who's going through the ladder has to react to some sort of sensory stimulus, which could be a verbal cue from you or a visual cue. The challenge with a visual cue is that they're watching their foot and they've got to look up to see you. And that makes it more challenging than just hearing. So generally you'd start with verbal cues, where you might say, shuffle left, shuffle right, switch to every second rung. But the visual cues makes it more challenging because, as I said, they're looking at their foot placements at the same time they're looking at you. The most simplest thing to do is just have a person moving through every rung, 1 foot in every rung. You could get a little faster, but now they've got to do 2 feet in every rung. You could go 4 feet in every rung. You could do all sorts of things. We could then do what we call a little bit of slalom, where they might start here and they take 1 foot out. So the outside foot goes out, in, out, in, out. So they just start to pick up the speed coming through the drill. The idea of teaching the skill is, if you remember the definition of agility, it's how rapidly and accurately you can change direction. So if I step in, bam, bam, and then I step out very wide, it's going to take me a lot of time to put that foot in, all right? So what I might want to think about is teaching someone not to step out wide, but to step close. Look at the difference between this, right, where I'm stepping wide, versus when I step real close. You can see how faster my feet become. So obviously you will start with a lot of sagittal plane motions. You could bring in a little bit of the slalom. You could go to 2 feet out. So all the way out here, with both feet are going out. You can have the person moving this way. We generally call these M's. You have W's, where you could step backwards. All right? And you could lead with either foot. You could tell the person to lead with the trailing leg that leads, or you get them to lead with that was the leading leg, the trailing leg. You can mix it up, right? You could get the full MWs, where you step all the way through the trailing leg, or step all the way through with the leading leg. You could also do karaoke type things, all right? Now, we've been running through. There's nothing stopping you from hopping through this or bounding through it, right? You could do a bound, every second one, every third one, and I'm going to show you some plyometric drills you can do here. So a ladder has many options available to train. The only downside of the ladder is because there's no obstacle to clear, the foot tends to skim, so your foot's very, very quick. Now, in life, we have to physically lift the foot. So over time, you need to maybe replace these, which are minimal clearance and predefined parameters, predefined shapes. That's not real life. Real life, we have to clear obstacles, and there's generally not grids that we can put our feet in. We have to be spatially aware of where our feet are going. So generally, this is used to teach the motor skills, and then you want to progress to maybe things like hurdles and cones, where there's no defined spacing, and there's actually an obstacle to clear. And over time, you take it onto the field or onto the court, where they use the actual markings of the field or court to determine where their feet need to go.